You've been walking around thinking your ego is untouchable, haven't you? Then you cross paths with an INFJ. They don't even need to speak, and yet your ego is shattered. What just happened? Welcome to the world of the INFJ, the master of breaking egos without lifting a finger. INFJs are the type to walk into a room and simply be. That's it. No boasting, no bragging, yet in their calm, silent presence, everything around them shifts. And here's the uncomfortable truth. It's because their mere existence makes you feel small. It's not arrogance, it's quiet power. They don't need to compete, they don't need to argue, they don't even need to challenge your ideas. They just exist in a way that forces you to confront the cracks in your own ego. INFJs break egos just by being authentic. Your ego is fragile, and when faced with a force like theirs, it can't help but crack. Stop looking for validation from external sources. The INFJ shows you that true power doesn't need to be loud. It's about standing firm in your own authenticity and letting that speak for itself. Own your presence. All right, so first up, their deep, cutting insights. You've had those moments, right? When someone says just one thing and it hits you like a ton of bricks, making you rethink your entire existence, that's an INFJ for you. They don't even have to try. Their words cut through your ego like a razor. INFJs are experts at seeing straight through people, and they don't need to try hard to do it. Their minds are like a fine-tuned radar, picking up on subtle details that most people miss. They can sense when something's off, when you're not being truthful with yourself, or when you're hiding behind a mask. And the most shocking part, they can hit you with a deep, cutting insight that forces you to confront the truth about yourself without even trying. Here's the thing. When INFJs speak, they don't waste words. Everything they say has weight. They'll ask you a question, drop a statement, or make an observation that seems simple on the surface, but beneath it lies a profound truth about who you really are. It's never a judgment, it's just an observation, but you feel it. It makes your ego start to crack, piece by piece. It's like they have a sixth sense for finding your vulnerabilities. But instead of using that information against you, they simply hold up a mirror and let you see it for yourself. And when you see yourself clearly, you can't ignore the things you've been hiding. You'll find yourself questioning everything. Why you do the things you do. Why you've been hiding certain parts of yourself. Why your ego's been protecting you from facing those truths. INFJs don't need to scream at you to get their point across. They don't even need to be confrontational. Their words are quietly penetrating. They're sharp, but never harsh. And that's why they break your ego without even trying. Because when they expose your blind spots, you can't unsee them. The harsh truth is, your ego thrives on avoiding uncomfortable truths. INFJs make you face them head on, and that's where growth happens. The next time an INFJ says something that hits too close to home, don't get defensive. Let it in. It's time to stop hiding from yourself and start embracing the hard truths. Growth begins when you let go of the ego and face what's really holding you back. Secondly, they challenge your beliefs without you realizing it. Imagine this. You walk away from a conversation with an INFJ, and suddenly, everything you believe to be true about yourself and the world feels questionable. They didn't argue with you, they didn't attack your beliefs, they just changed them, and you didn't even see it coming. MNJs have a subtle, almost invisible way of challenging your beliefs. They don't have to raise their voice or present a counter-argument, they don't need to shout from the rooftops, they just drop a thought, a statement, or even a question that makes you pause. It's not a direct confrontation, it's the type of challenge that lingers in your mind long after the conversation ends. You start to ask yourself, wait, am I wrong about this? And it shakes your worldview. Here's the kicker, you don't even realize what's happening until you're in too deep. INFJs don't force you to question yourself. They make it feel like you're coming to the realization on your own. They don't engage in heated debates or blow things up in your face. Instead, they plant a seed of doubt and let your mind do the rest. And that's exactly what makes their challenge so powerful. They make you confront your beliefs and your biases, but they never seem to be pushing you. It's all in the way they approach the topic, calm, methodical, and so precise that it's like watching a master chess player making a move without you even knowing the game is being played. Most people can't handle this level of subtlety. When INFJs ask questions or make statements that make you think, they're not just talking about the surface level topic. They're going deeper, challenging your very foundations. They force you to look at things you've never considered, and it makes your ego scramble for answers it doesn't have. What they do is make your mind stretch beyond the limits you've placed on it, forcing you to confront your own limitations without ever needing to call them out. Here's the tough pill to swallow. You're clinging to beliefs that are comfortable, not necessarily true. INFJs show you that you've been living with blinders on and you don't even know it. So, the next time an INFJ says something that makes your ego twitch, don't fight it. Let it sink in. Their ability to challenge your beliefs without confrontation is a gift. Embrace it and watch your mindset grow. You're not as right as you think you are. And the sooner you admit that, the sooner you'll start evolving. Next, moving on to point number 3, they expose the inauthenticity you try to hide. You think you've perfected your mask, don't you? You've got it all figured out, playing the game, acting the part. But an INFJ, they see right through you, and they'll expose the truth without even lifting a finger. Let me show you how they do it. INFJs are masters of seeing through the facades people put up. You might think you're fooling the world with your perfect image, your good enough version of yourself, but INFJs don't buy it. They don't need to interrogate you or criticize you to tear down your walls. All they need to do is observe, listen, and let you expose yourself. And when they do, they don't call you out. They simply make you aware that you've been pretending. It's like they're holding up a mirror that reflects back the person you've been hiding from the world. The truth? You can't look away. The INFJ doesn't need to shame you. They don't need to get angry. They don't need to tear you down with harsh words. They have an uncanny ability to make you feel exposed because they know exactly what part of your ego you've been protecting. It could be that insecurity about your image, the fear that people might see through your confidence, or the doubt about your true worth. The INFJ just doesn't react to the mask. They quietly dismantle it with a single calm glance, a question or an observation. But here's the reality check. You're not hiding anything from them. They see the cracks in your carefully constructed persona, and they don't need to call you out to make you face it. That's where your ego starts to break. You think you're projecting an image of control and certainty, but the INFJ's ability to expose your inauthenticity shatters the illusion. It forces you to confront the parts of yourself that you've been running from. INFJs don't judge you. They don't need to. They know the truth of who you are, whether you admit it or not. And that quiet awareness, it rattles your ego because it exposes the real you, the one you've been hiding. Here's the tough truth. Your ego is holding onto a version of yourself that isn't real. The INFJ forces you to see the mask you've been wearing. Stop pretending you have it all together. The real freedom comes from letting go of your fake image and embracing your authentic self. INFJs show you that when you stop hiding, you can finally step into your true power. Fourthly, they don't need to be right, but they always are. You've met them, the people who never need to prove they're right, yet somehow always end up being right. INFJs are masters of this. They don't argue, they don't need to convince you, but when they speak, you'll quickly realize that their insight cuts deeper than yours. And you can't argue with the truth. INFJs are not in the business of debating. They don't care about winning arguments or showing off their intellect. Their quiet confidence comes from a deep understanding of the world. And it's this understanding that makes them so incredibly powerful. While you're busy trying to prove you're right, the INFJ simply knows they are. They don't need to engage in verbal gymnastics to prove a point. The truth is their weapon, and they wield it effortlessly. Here's the shocking reality. INFJs don't care about being right for the sake of being right. They have no desire to argue for the thrill of it, and they certainly don't need your approval. They don't seek validation through being correct. What they do care about is understanding, finding meaning, and seeing the bigger picture. That's why when they speak, it's often with such certainty and calm. You might challenge them, argue your side, or even raise your voice in frustration. But the INFJ's response? Quietly. It's always quiet, measured, and grounded in truth. And that's when it hits you. They didn't need to yell. They didn't need to debate. And they didn't need to force their opinions on you. They were right all along. What's even more powerful is that they never make you feel dumb for being wrong. INFJs don't care about being validated through winning an argument. They care about making sure the right knowledge is understood. So when you find yourself in a situation where the INFJ's perspective becomes clearer and more accurate than your own, your ego takes a hit without them even having to push back. Their calm presence, confidence, and quiet conviction dismantle your argument, leaving you realizing you were never in control. Here's the hard truth. Your ego is attached to being right at all costs. INFJs don't need to play that game. They just know. And it's this quiet, unshakable confidence that makes them unstoppable. Instead of clinging to being right, learn to trust the truth, even when it challenges your ego. Stop arguing for the sake of winning. Start listening to learn. INFJs don't need to fight. They let the truth speak for itself. You can do the same. All right, fifthly, they hold up a mirror to your insecurities. Ever had a conversation where at the end you felt completely exposed, but in a way that left you questioning everything? INFJs don't need to attack you to break you down. They simply hold up a mirror to your insecurities, and you can't look away. INFJs don't need to yell at you or confront you to make you face your flaws. They don't argue or criticize. They do something far more powerful. They let you see your weaknesses, your vulnerabilities, and your ego's fragile walls for what they are. And they do it with such subtlety that you don't even realize how deep you've been pulled into self-reflection until you're already there. Here's the shocking part. INFJs don't even have to say much. They're not throwing your flaws in your face. They don't need to. They're just there, quietly observing you. And when they speak, it's almost like they've already read your mind. They don't give you any room to hide behind your pretenses. You think you're showing the world your best version, but when they make eye contact or ask a single pointed question, you realize how much you've been faking it. It's not about being rude or judgmental. It's about the fact that INFJs see through the walls you've built around yourself. They see the parts you try to ignore, the insecurities you hide from others, and sometimes even from yourself. And when they talk to you, it's as if they're gently pointing those parts of you out, not in an attacking way, but in a way that makes you feel like your whole sense of self is being exposed, without them ever having to say, "You're wrong." What's worse? INFJs aren't doing this to make you feel bad. They simply want you to see the truth. They know that until you confront your insecurities, you'll never truly grow. And while you're uncomfortable with the truth about yourself, they're just waiting quietly, letting you take the first step toward accepting who you truly are. Flaws, cracks, and all. Here's the uncomfortable truth: your ego is terrified of being exposed. You hide behind these walls of perfection and false confidence. But INFJs won't let you keep hiding. The next time an INFJ forces you to face your vulnerabilities, don't get defensive. Don't shut them out. Let them guide you to that uncomfortable place of self-awareness. Only by confronting your insecurities can you finally break free from the chains your ego has put around you. And trust me, you'll be stronger for it. All right, that's for this video, and I see you in the next one.